The crash. The night sky was silent. Only the sound of crickets filled the air. The moonlight fell across the empty fields outside a small town. A young man named Daniel walked along the dirt road, hands in his pockets, lost in his own thoughts. It was late, far past midnight, and he wanted nothing more than to return home. But then the silence broke. A deafening roar tore through the sky, like thunder splitting the heavens apart. Daniel froze, eyes wide as a streak of fire burned across the darkness above. The object was falling fast, glowing brighter and brighter, until it slammed into the earth with a violent crash. The ground shook beneath his feet, and a wave of hot wind rushed past him, carrying the smell of smoke and burning metal. Daniel's heart pounded in his chest. It wasn't a shooting star. No, this was something real, something alive. His first thought was a plane crash, maybe a military test gone wrong. But deep inside, something whispered to him that it was far stranger than that. He hesitated for only a second before running toward the light. Every step closer brought more heat, more smoke, more fear. The crash site was hidden beyond the trees, a glow flickering through the branches like fire from another world. Daniel pushed through the bushes until he stood at the edge of a clearing. The wreck was massive, larger than any aircraft he had ever seen. Sharp metal twisted out like broken bones, glowing with red and blue sparks. The ground around it burned, the grass turned to ash, and smoke curled into the sky. Pieces of strange black stone, smooth and glowing faintly, scattered across the dirt. Daniel realized this was no human machine. This was something alien. His breath caught in his throat. Every part of his mind screamed to run, to hide, to call someone, anyone, but his body would not move. Something pulled him closer, a strange force stronger than fear. He stepped over a fallen branch and into the clearing, heart racing. The air buzzed with an eerie hum, like the ship itself was still alive. Blue liquid leaked from cracks in the metal, glowing softly like veins of light. Daniel took one careful step after another, eyes locked on the wreckage. And then he heard it, a voice, weak and trembling. It wasn't a human voice, not exactly, but the words were clear enough. "Spare me." "Human," the voice whispered. Daniel froze, his breath caught in his lungs. Slowly, he turned his eyes to the wreck, searching for the source. Among the broken metal, a figure moved. It dragged itself forward with shaking arms, its body thin and strange, skin pale and almost silver under the moonlight. The creature collapsed against a piece of metal, coughing, struggling for breath. Its eyes glowed faintly, large and filled with pain. And yet, in those eyes, Daniel saw something unexpected, fear. Not anger, not hatred, but fear. He gripped the flashlight at his belt and raised it, the beam falling on the creature's face. It flinched from the light, but did not fight. Instead, it lifted one trembling hand and reached toward him. "Love me." Instead, it whispered again, voice breaking like a child begging not to be left alone. Daniel stumbled back, his legs shaking. This couldn't be real. An alien, alive, speaking to him in English. His mind screamed that he should run to town, warn the authorities, hide from this nightmare. But his heart would not let him leave. That plea, so fragile, so desperate, echoed in his ears. The creature coughed, curling its body as if every breath was a battle. Daniel noticed its wounds, deep cuts across its chest, glowing blood seeping from them. It wasn't just injured, it was dying. And yet, it didn't ask for help, didn't ask for mercy. It asked for love. Why? Why would an alien, a being from the stars, beg for something so human? Daniel stepped closer, knees weak, his flashlight trembling in his grip. The heat of the wreck washed over him, sweat dripping down his face. His heart told him to listen, his mind told him to run. The alien looked up at him again, its lips trembling. "You different," it whispered. Daniel didn't understand, but he felt the weight of those words. He could see the fear, the loneliness, the strange hope hidden in the alien's eyes. And in that moment, the night seemed to hold its breath. The crickets were silent, the wind was gone, even the smoke slowed in the air. It was just him and the alien, two lives colliding in a moment that would change everything. Daniel knew nothing would ever be the same again. The crash was not the end, it was the beginning. And the words, "Spare me, human, love me instead," burned inside his chest like fire. The encounter. Daniel stood frozen, the beam of his flashlight trembling in his hand. The alien's eyes glowed softly, not like a monster, but like a wounded soul in need. Every story, every warning about creatures from the stars flashed through his mind. They were supposed to be invaders, destroyers, heartless beings who saw humans as weak. But this one was begging for love, not blood. Daniel's breath came quick and sharp. His finger brushed against the small knife in his pocket, a useless weapon against such a being. Still, his instincts screamed at him to keep it close. He did not trust the creature, but he could not ignore it either. The alien shifted, its body weak, its hands still stretched toward him. The glow of its wounds flickered like dying embers. "I am not your enemy," it whispered, voice heavy, each word costing its strength. Daniel's heart twisted at the sound. So fragile, so unlike the terrifying monsters he had imagined. But questions stormed his head. Why was it here? Where had it come from? Why did it know human language? And why, of all things, did it speak of love? Daniel took a cautious step forward. The grass crackled under his boots, and the alien flinched as if even that sound hurt. He lowered his light slightly, not wanting to blind it. Its skin shimmered faintly in the glow, silver but bruised, marked with burns and cuts. It looked less like a conqueror and more like a prisoner who had escaped. "What are you?" Daniel whispered under his breath. The alien's lips moved slowly. "Once soldier," it said, voice like breaking glass. "Now fugitive." Daniel's blood ran cold. Soldier? That meant an army, that meant war. The stories of alien invasion, the fear of humanity's end, all came rushing back. But the alien's eyes told a different story. They were filled not with pride or cruelty, but with sorrow, regret, and something else he couldn't name. Daniel clenched his fists. "You killed people?" he asked, voice trembling. The alien shook its head weakly. "No," refused, it said, coughing, glowing blood dripping onto the dirt. "My kind hunt me now." The words sent shivers down Daniel's spine. This was no random crash, no accident. The alien wasn't just lost, it was running from its own people, hunted for something it had done. And now, it lay here before him, asking for the one thing no human could expect, love. Daniel stepped closer, his fear battling his curiosity. The alien lowered its hand, resting it on the broken metal, too weak to keep it raised. Its breathing was ragged, but it forced more words out. "I saw your kind different," it said. "You fight, but you feel, you care, you love." Daniel's heart skipped. This being from another world had studied humans, not to destroy them, but to understand, to learn emotions, to see value in what his own species rejected. It made no sense, yet in its broken voice, Daniel heard truth. The night deepened, smoke rising into the stars above. Somewhere far in the distance, faint lights blinked in the sky. Aircraft, maybe, or something else. Time was running short. Daniel felt it. If soldiers came, they would take the alien, and the mystery would be lost. If hunters came, its own kind, death would follow. The alien's eyes closed for a moment, its chest heaving as though every breath was its last. Daniel's hands shook as he crouched near it, torn between fear and pity. He wanted to run, but something stronger held him there. The words, "Spare me, human, love me instead," echoed in his mind like a spell. Daniel leaned closer, voice low but steady. "Why me?" he asked. The alien opened its eyes, faint light shimmering within them. "Because you listened," it whispered. "No soldier, no leader, only you." Daniel felt his throat tighten. He had done nothing but stand frozen. Yet to this creature, It meant everything. For the first time, he saw not an alien, not a monster, not a soldier. He saw someone broken, lost, and desperate. And he realized with a sharp sting in his chest that he could not walk away. But danger loomed. The night carried new sounds, engines, faint roars across the distance. Daniel's heart jumped. They were coming, whoever they were, human or alien, it didn't matter. The crash would not stay hidden for long. The alien sensed it too. It struggled to move, trying to crawl away from the wreck, but its body failed. It collapsed with a low cry, its voice cracking. "Help! Hide me!" it begged. Daniel's hands clenched tight. He knew the moment had come. One choice, one action, would decide everything. If he helped, he became a traitor, risking his life for a stranger not of this earth. If he walked away, the creature would die alone, its final plea unanswered. Daniel looked at the stars, then back at the glowing eyes staring up at him. The alien's breath shook, the faintest smile trembling on its lips. "Spare me, human," it whispered again, softer now. Daniel took a deep breath, his decision sealing itself inside his heart. He would not abandon it. The night shifted once more. The hum of engines grew louder, shadows moving against the horizon. But Daniel no longer froze, no longer hesitated. The alien had asked for love, not war, and Daniel, though afraid, chose to listen. And so, with his heart pounding, he bent down, slipped his arms under the alien's fragile body, and lifted. The encounter had begun, and neither of them would ever be the same. Secrets revealed. Daniel's arms shook as he carried the alien away from the burning wreck. The creature's body was light, far too light for something that came from the stars. Its silver skin felt warm and trembling, its breath shallow against his chest. Every step Daniel took felt louder than thunder, as if the whole world was watching him. He slipped into the woods, branches scraping his shoulders, the glow of fire fading behind him. The engines in the distance grew louder, more urgent. Whoever was coming would soon find the crash. Daniel's only thought was to get far enough, hidden enough, before the night betrayed him. At last, he reached the old barn at the edge of his family's land. It was half broken, doors hanging loose, the smell of hay and dust thick in the air. No one came here anymore, and that was what made it safe. Daniel pushed the door open and stepped inside, laying the alien down on a pile of hay. The creature gasped, its chest rising and falling quickly. Its wounds glowed faintly, blood that looked like liquid light seeping through torn skin. Daniel dropped to his knees beside it, panic racing through him. "I don't know how to help you," he whispered, his voice shaking. The alien's eyes flickered open, weak but aware. "Not medicine, not yet," it said slowly. "Just listen." Daniel swallowed hard, his throat dry. "Listen to what?" he asked. The alien's gaze locked onto his, heavy with a weight Daniel had never felt before. "I was made for war," it said. "My people, they take life, not give it." Its voice was soft but sharp, each word cutting deep. "Love is forbidden weakness, they call it, a sickness that spreads." Daniel's heart clenched, the truth sounding worse than he had imagined. He leaned closer, afraid to miss even one word. The alien continued. "I served, I obeyed, until I saw your kind." It coughed, light spilling from its wounds like sparks from a dying fire. "Humans fight, yes, but you fight for each other, not just against." Daniel's chest tightened. The alien's words carried no hate, only longing. "I watched you," it whispered. "Your art, your music, your stories, all born from love." Its hand trembled, fingers twitching as if trying to grasp something invisible. "I wanted it more than victory, more than survival. I wanted love." Daniel felt the barn walls closing in around him. Here was a soldier from another world, hunted by its own kind, confessing a desire no human would ever expect. Not conquest, not power, but the simple, fragile wish to feel loved. And it had chosen him, Daniel, an ordinary young man, to hear this truth. The alien closed its eyes briefly, its voice breaking. My people discovered what I had done. They called me traitor. They swore to erase me, to make me example. And so, I ran. I came here to the only world that showed me hope. Daniel pressed a hand to his forehead, his thoughts spinning. This was beyond anything he had ever imagined. An alien war, a rebellion born from love. And now, this fugitive lying in his barn, begging him not for safety, but for something deeper. It made no sense, and yet it felt real, too real to deny. Why me? Daniel whispered again, his voice hoarse. The alien opened its eyes slowly, glowing faintly. Because you stayed, it said. Others would have killed me already or left me to die. But you carried me, you listened, you cared. Daniel felt something stir in his chest, a strange pull he could not fight. He wanted to deny it, wanted to tell himself this was madness. But the truth was plain. He did care. This creature should have terrified him, should have been nothing but danger. And yet, all he saw was someone broken, someone reaching for something human. The alien coughed again, and Daniel noticed the wounds glowing brighter, almost pulsing. Is that blood? He asked nervously. The alien shook its head faintly. Energy, it said, fading fast without help. I will die. Fear gripped Daniel's chest. What do you need? He asked, desperation in his voice. The alien stared at him for a long moment before answering. Not machines, not weapons. I need trust. If you trust me, I can heal. Daniel's hands trembled, his thoughts a storm. Trust it? An alien soldier who admitted it came from an army meant to invade. Yet every word, every glance, every plea felt too real to be a lie. Could love, something so simple, so human, really be what this creature longed for? Outside, the engines grew louder, flashes of light breaking the horizon. Time was slipping away. Daniel knew he had no more moments to debate. He had to decide, to trust or to betray, to believe in the alien's truth or hand it over to the world. The alien reached weakly for his hand, its fingers brushing against his skin, warm and trembling. Please, it whispered, voice fading like smoke. Spare me, human. Love me instead. Daniel's heart thundered, the choice burning inside him. He had uncovered the secret, but now the weight of it rested in his hands. The chase. The barn was silent. The only sound was the alien's heavy breathing. But outside, the night was no longer still. Engines rumbled in the distance, sharp and mechanical. Not the soft hum of cars, but something harsher. Daniel stiffened, his pulse quickening. They were coming. The alien's eyes fluttered open, glowing faintly in the dark. It felt the danger too, its body shivering as if the sound of the engine struck fear deep inside. They have found me, it whispered. Daniel's throat tightened. Your people? He asked, voice barely a breath. The alien gave a slow, broken nod. Hunters, they will not stop until I am gone. Daniel's mind raced. He had no plan, no weapons, no allies. Just himself, a dying alien, and an old barn with weak wooden walls. The lights outside flickered closer, beams cutting through the trees. Any second now, they would see the wreck, then the trail, then him. The alien tried to rise, its body trembling, but collapsed back into the hay. I cannot run, it gasped. Daniel crouched beside it, panic filling his chest. Then we hide, he said quickly, though even as he spoke, he knew hiding wouldn't last long. Hunters didn't stop, hunters didn't miss. The engines grew louder, joined by strange clicking sounds, like claws tapping against metal. Daniel peeked through a crack in the barn wall. Shapes moved in the distance, tall, dark, and shifting unnaturally. Not human soldiers, not police, something else. Alien. He backed away, heart slamming against his ribs. The alien on the hay whispered hoarsely, "They will kill you too, if they find you with me." Daniel clenched his fists. "I'm not leaving you," he muttered, more to himself than to the alien. The barn door rattled suddenly, a low vibration shuddering through the wood. Daniel froze, every muscle locking tight. The hunters were close, too close. A shadow passed by the crack in the wall, long and thin, with glowing edges like blades of light. Daniel's breath caught. If they looked inside, it would be over. The alien reached weakly toward him. "Trust," it whispered again, voice barely holding together. Daniel swallowed, sweat dripping down his temple. Trust wasn't enough now. He needed action. His eyes darted around the barn, searching desperately. Old tools hung on the walls, rusty shovels, ropes, a broken lantern. Nothing that could fight monsters, but maybe enough to distract them. The barn door creaked, slow, deliberate. Daniel grabbed the lantern, his mind racing. He yanked a piece of cloth from the hay pile, wrapped it tight, and lit it with his lighter. The cloth caught fire instantly, heat licking his skin. The alien's eyes widened, confused, but Daniel only whispered, "Stay quiet." He hurled the burning lantern through a back window. It crashed outside with a burst of flame. The hunters paused, shadows shifting, clicking sounds rising sharply. For a moment, the barn was spared. Daniel used the chance, grabbing the alien under the arms and dragging it toward a hidden trapdoor in the floor. The old barn had once stored root vegetables, a shallow pit dug under the floor. Daniel ripped the trapdoor open, coughing as dust flew into the air. "Go," he hissed, lowering the alien inside. The creature groaned, too weak to move on its own. Daniel clenched his teeth and pushed, lowering it carefully into the dark space below. Then he slid down beside it, pulling the wooden cover back over their heads. Darkness swallowed them. Only the sound of the alien's ragged breathing filled the small space. Above, the barn door slammed open. Heavy footsteps echoed against the wooden floor. Too heavy for humans, too precise. Daniel's heart thumped so loud he feared they would hear it. Through the cracks in the floor, faint blue light spilled into the pit. He saw their legs, tall, thin, armored with plates that glowed faintly like molten steel. Their voices clicked and hissed in a language he couldn't understand. But their intent was clear. They were searching. Daniel gripped the alien's hand without thinking. It was trembling, cold despite its glowing blood. The alien turned its head, eyes dim but focused on him. "You should not risk this," it whispered softly. Daniel squeezed tighter. "Too late," he whispered back. Above, one of the hunters stopped, crouching low. Its hand brushed against the trapdoor, claws scratching the wood. Daniel held his breath, every muscle frozen. The alien shut its eyes, lips moving silently, as if praying. The sound of claws scraping against wood made Daniel's stomach twist. One wrong sound, one mistake, and they were dead. Then suddenly, a sharp signal echoed outside. A mechanical howl, strange and piercing. The hunters rose instantly, their glowing legs shifting. They moved as one, retreating from the barn. Daniel listened as their footsteps grew fainter, engines roaring again in the distance. After a long moment, silence returned. Daniel let out a shaky breath, collapsing back against the dirt wall of the pit. His chest ached, his lungs burned, but they were alive. The alien opened its eyes again, faint light glowing within. "You chose danger for me," it said softly. Daniel met its gaze, his face pale but steady. "I told you, I'm not leaving you," he answered. The alien gave a faint smile, small but real. "Then we must move, they will come back," it whispered. Daniel nodded slowly. He knew the truth. This was only the beginning of the chase, and the night was far from over. Growing connection. The sun was rising, soft light spilling over the horizon. Daniel stepped out of the barn, eyes scanning the empty fields. The hunters were gone for now, but their presence still lingered in his mind. Every shadow looked sharper, every sound louder, as if the world itself had turned hostile overnight. Inside the barn, the alien lay weak but alive. Its silver skin shimmered faintly in the early light, glowing softly like embers refusing to die. Daniel knelt beside it, offering a small cup of water. The alien hesitated before drinking, its trembling hands brushing against his fingers. Even that small touch sent a strange chill down his arm. Not fear, but but something unexplainable. "You saved me," the alien whispered, its voice still fragile. Daniel shook his head, staring at the dirt floor. "I just couldn't leave you there," he said quietly. The alien's glowing eyes studied him, almost as if it was trying to read the truth inside him. Hours passed slowly, the barn filled with silence, broken only by the alien's soft breaths. Daniel found himself watching it more than he should. Every movement, every flicker of its glowing veins, every faint expression on its strange but almost human face. It frightened him. Not the alien itself, but how quickly his fear was changing into something else. By midday, the alien tried to sit up, wincing as pain rippled through its body. Daniel rushed forward, steadying it with his arms. Their eyes met, his tired and human, its bright and unearthly. And in that moment, words weren't needed. There was a connection, fragile but undeniable. The alien broke the silence first. "My people, do not touch unless in battle," it said slowly. Daniel frowned, confused. "What do you mean?" The alien lowered its gaze. "To touch, to hold, is weakness, is care, forbidden." Daniel felt his chest tighten. Something so natural to humans, touch, comfort, closeness, was a crime to them. And yet here it was, leaning into his hands, letting him hold it up. It wasn't weakness, he thought. It was survival, maybe even hope. They sat like that for a long time, the alien resting against him. Daniel felt strange warmth grow inside him, not from the alien's glow, but from the trust it was giving him. No human words could explain it, but he knew. It was something deeper than fear or pity. It was a bond, one that should not have existed, but did. Later, Daniel brought food from his house, bread and fruit wrapped in cloth. The alien examined it curiously, lifting the bread with delicate fingers. It sniffed it, then took a careful bite. Its face shifted in surprise, then softened. "This has warmth," it whispered. Daniel laughed under his breath. "It's just bread," he said, but the alien shook its head. "No, it is more. It is care." For the first time, Daniel saw it smile. Faint, uncertain, but real. The sight left him speechless. He had never thought an alien could smile, let alone in a way that reached straight into his chest. As the day went on, the alien grew stronger, though its wounds still glowed faintly. It began asking questions, its voice quiet but filled with curiosity. "What is music?" it asked. Daniel blinked, surprised. "You don't know?" The alien shook its head. "No songs, no rhythm, only silence." Daniel thought for a moment, then pulled out his old phone. The battery was low, but it had enough life to play one song. He pressed play, and the barn filled with soft notes, a slow melody carried by human voices. The alien's eyes widened, glowing brighter. It placed a hand against its chest as if feeling something inside. "This is alive," it whispered, voice trembling. Daniel smiled faintly. "That's music," he said. "That's what we live with." The alien's eyes glistened, almost like tears, though no drops fell. "You're kind, you build beauty, even from pain," it said softly. Daniel turned his face away, hiding the heat rising in his cheeks. No one had ever said it like that before, and hearing it from this broken creature made the words cut deeper. But as the connection grew, so did the weight of danger. Every minute with the alien meant greater risk. The hunters could return at any time, and if humans discovered what he was hiding, Daniel would be branded a traitor. He knew all of it, yet when he looked at the alien, none of it mattered. Not in that moment. Not when its glowing eyes softened in trust. As night returned, Daniel lit a single lantern inside the barn. The alien lay back, its voice faint but steady. "You risked everything," it whispered. Daniel sat beside it, his arms resting on his knees. "Maybe," he said, his voice low, "but I think you were worth it." The alien closed its eyes, the faintest smile on its lips. "Then I will fight, not to live, but to stay with you," it murmured. Daniel's breath caught, his heart racing at the words. For the first time, he realized the truth. This was no longer about survival alone. This was something more, something dangerous, something powerful. Love, the final stand. The night returned heavy and dark. Daniel barely slept. Every sound outside made his heart jump. The alien lay on the hay, stronger than before but still wounded, its glow faint under the lantern light. They both knew the peace would not last. The silence broke just before midnight. Engines again, sharper this time, closer. Daniel rushed to the crack in the barn wall, his breath catching. Lights swept across the fields, slow and deliberate. They were searching, and they were near. The alien pushed itself up, pain written across its face. "It is time," it whispered. Daniel shook his head, fear rushing into his chest. "No, you're not ready. We can hide again," he said quickly. But the alien's glowing eyes turned steady, unshaken. "They will not stop. Hiding will end in death." Daniel's fists tightened. He wanted to argue, but he couldn't. The truth was in those words. The hunters were closing in, and this time they would not leave. The barn itself seemed to tremble as the engines roared louder. The chase was over. The fight was here. The alien stood slowly, unsteady but determined. Its body shimmered faintly, glowing veins pulsing brighter than before. Daniel stepped beside it, his voice low. "Then we fight together." The alien looked at him, almost in shock, then gave the faintest nod. The barn doors burst open, with splintering as three tall shadows stepped inside. Their bodies were thin, armored in plates that burned with blue fire, their faces hidden behind sharp masks that clicked with every breath. Daniel felt his blood run cold, but he stood his ground. The alien stepped forward, placing itself between Daniel and the hunters. One hunter raised a weapon, a staff glowing with sharp light. It hissed in their strange language, a sound filled with rage. The alien answered back, its voice harsh, alien syllables cutting through the air. Daniel could not understand the words, but the meaning was clear. It was defying them, here and now. The hunters attacked. A blast of energy tore across the barn, smashing wood into dust. Daniel dove aside, coughing as smoke and hay filled the air. The alien staggered, but lifted its hand, releasing a burst of light from its wounds. The glow struck one hunter, sending it crashing into the wall. Daniel's eyes widened. Even broken, the alien still had power. Another hunter rushed forward, claws glowing. Daniel grabbed a broken pitchfork, useless against armor, but better than nothing. He swung wildly. The claws slashed, sparks flew. The alien intercepted, shielding Daniel with its body. The claws dug deep, glowing blood spilling across the floor. Daniel shouted, his chest burning with panic. "Stop protecting me. We fight together." The alien gasped, its voice trembling. "This is what love does," it said. Daniel's eyes blurred, but he stood tall, gripping the pitchfork again. He lunged, striking the hunter in the joints. The blow wasn't strong, but it gave the alien a moment. With a cry, it released another blast of light, hurling the second hunter back into the shadows. Only one remained, the largest, the leader. Its mask glowed brighter than the others, its steps heavy and merciless. Daniel stood beside the alien, both shaking but refusing to move back. The hunter raised its weapon, ready to strike. The alien leaned close, its voice faint. "If I fall, run." Daniel shook his head fiercely. "I told you, I'm not leaving." The battle exploded in chaos. The hunter's weapon sliced through wood and stone, the barn collapsing piece by piece. The alien fought with all its remaining strength, glowing brighter with every strike. Daniel darted in, distracting the hunter, throwing tools, blocking blows. It was madness, a human and a dying alien against something far stronger. But together, they held their ground. The hunter roared, driving its weapon deep into the alien's chest. Daniel screamed, rushing forward, slamming the pitchfork into the hunter's side. It stumbled but did not fall. The alien coughed, glowing blood pouring from its wound. Its eyes turned to Daniel, soft and calm. "Spare me. Love me instead." it whispered, and then, with the last of its strength, it released a final burst of light. The explosion shook the ground, throwing Daniel to the floor. The hunter was hurled back, crashing through the barn wall, its armor shattered. Silence followed, smoke filling the air. Daniel crawled forward, heart breaking. The alien lay still, its glow fading. He pressed his hands against the wound, shouting, "Stay with me. Don't you dare leave me." The alien's lips trembled, forming words barely audible. "I did not want war. Only this," it whispered. Its hand brushed Daniel's cheek, then fell limp. Tears burned in Daniel's eyes as he held the alien close. The barn was in ruins, the hunters gone, but victory felt hollow. He had fought, he had chosen, and now he was left with the weight of it. Yet even through the pain, he knew one thing. This alien had shown him a truth stronger than fear. A truth worth every risk, every scar. Love, the alien's plea. Smoke drifted through the ruined barn. The night was quiet again, but not with peace. The hunters were gone, their broken bodies scattered in the shadows. Yet Daniel felt no victory in his chest, only fear. He knelt beside the alien, its silver skin dim, its glow fading like the last light of a candle. Its breathing was shallow, uneven, every inhale sounding like a battle. Daniel pressed his hands against its wound, desperate, his voice shaking. "Stay with me, please. Don't you give up now." The alien's eyes opened weakly, faint light shimmering inside them. It looked at him not with fear, not with pain, but with calm. "You fought for me," it whispered. Daniel's throat tightened. "I had to," he said. "I couldn't let them take you." The alien's lips curved into the smallest smile. Its hand trembled, reaching up, brushing against Daniel's cheek. "You gave me what I never had choice," it said. Daniel shook his head fiercely, refusing to accept the words. "You still have a choice to live," he said, his voice breaking. "Stay alive, stay with me." The alien's eyes softened, glowing faintly as it whispered, "My people will come again, more hunters, more war." Daniel gritted his teeth. "Then we'll fight them," he said. "Together." The alien coughed, glowing blood spilling across its chest. "You cannot fight forever," it whispered. "But you can remember." Daniel's hand shook as he held it tighter. "I don't want memories. I want you here," he said. Silence hung heavy between them, the broken barn groaning in the night wind. The alien's hand lingered against his face, its touch weak but warm. "Spare me, human," it whispered softly, "but love me instead." Daniel's vision blurred with tears. He bent closer, his forehead resting against the alien's. "I do," he whispered, his voice trembling. "I don't even know how, but I do." The alien's eyes closed, a single breath slipping from its lips. Its glow dimmed, fading slowly like starlight swallowed by dawn. Daniel shook it gently, desperate. "Please, not like this," he begged. "Don't leave me." For a moment, silence filled the barn. Daniel thought it was over, that the final plea had ended in death. But then, faintly, the glow flickered, weak but alive, pulsing softly under the alien's skin. Its voice returned, thin as a whisper carried by the wind. "Love keeps me," Daniel gasped, his chest filling with wild hope. The alien's glow strengthened slightly, its breathing steadier. Not healed, not safe, but not gone. It clung to his words, to his presence, to his choice. And in that moment, Daniel understood. Love was not weakness, it was survival. He pulled the alien close, holding it as though the world itself wanted to take it away. "We'll go," he whispered. "Far from here, somewhere they'll never find us." The alien's lips trembled, forming a fragile smile. "With you, anywhere," it whispered. Outside, the horizon glowed faintly with the coming dawn. The night of terror was ending, but a new danger was rising with the sun. Daniel knew the world would hunt them both, humans, aliens, all who feared what they did not understand. But he also knew something greater, something stronger. That love, even across worlds, could defy war itself. He stood slowly, the alien in his arms. Every step toward the barn door felt heavy, yet certain. The night air hit his face, cool and sharp. The fields stretched out before them, endless, uncertain, but alive. And in the faint light of dawn, Daniel made a vow. No matter what comes, I will not let them take you, he whispered. The alien's eyes opened briefly, glowing faintly with trust. And I will not let them take you, it murmured. Together, they stepped into the rising sun. Two lives bound by a choice neither world would ever understand. But perhaps in that choice lay the power to change everything.